eyeball and its applied anatomy. So in this we will be discussing the competency, demonstrate the parts and layers of eyeball. Parts of eyeball. Parts of eye are cornea. Cornea is a clear outer part of eye's focusing system located at the front of eye. Iris. Iris is the colored part of the eye that regulates the amount of light entering the eye. Pupil. It is the opening of the iris at its center. So you can see the cornea, iris in this, and also pupil. Then we come to lens. Lens is the clear part of eye behind the iris that helps to focus light or an image on the retina. Then macula. It is the small sensitive part or area of the retina that gives central vision. Optic nerve. Optic nerve is the largest sensory nerve of the eye. It carries impulses for sight from retina to the brain. Retina, as shown in the picture, it is the light sensitive tissue at the back of eye. Retina converts light into electrical impulses and are sent to brain through the optic nerve. Vitreous gel or vitreous humor. It is transparent colorless mass that fills the rare 2/3 of eyeball between the lens and the retina. Then we come to layers of eyeball. Eye is embryologically an extension of central nervous system. Eye has 3 layers or coats, 3 compartments and 3 fluids. Layers of the eyeball. The 3 coats of the eye are the fibrous coat, which comprise cornea and sclera, then middle vascular coat, also called uveal tract. It consists of iris, ciliary body and choroid, and nervous layer, that retina forms the nervous layer. Compartments. You can say there are 3 compartments in the eye. Anterior chamber. It is the space between cornea and the iris, as you can see in the picture. Posterior chamber. It is the space between iris anteriorly and the lens and zonule posteriorly. This is posterior chamber. Then we have vitreous chamber. Vitreous chamber, the space is behind the lens. It is behind the lens. Then fluids also, there are 3 fluids in the eyeball. Aqueous humor, that is in the anterior posterior chambers. Then we have vitreous humor that fills the space between the posterior surface of lens and the ciliary body anteriorly and retina. Then blood. It is present in the eyeball also. In addition to its usual functions of blood, it contributes to the maintenance of intraocular pressure. Outer layer of the eye. See, outer layer of the eye, anterior 1/6 of the fibrous layer of the eye is formed by cornea. Posterior 5/6 is formed by sclera. Cornea is transparent. Sclera is continuous with cornea and is white in color. The junction of cornea and sclera is known as limbus. Middle layer. Middle layer is highly vascular and is called as uvea. It is highly pigmented. Posterior part of uvea is called as choroid. Iris is the most anterior part of uvea or middle layer. Iris is thin circular disc perforated centrally by the pupil. Contraction of the iris sphincter muscle constricts the pupil, whereas contraction of the dilator pupillae muscle dilates the pupil. Middle layer, continuing. Ciliary body is attached to the iris. Ciliary body is attached anteriorly to the iris, and posteriorly it is continuous with choroid and the retina, as you can see in the picture. Ciliary body is referred to as intermediate uvea. Ciliary body is triangular in cross section. The anterior side of ciliary body gives origin to the iris. We come to inner layer. Inner layer of the eye lines the vascular uvea, that is middle layer. It is neurosensory layer. It forms retina posteriorly. It has a border, anterior border, which is scalloped and is known as ora serrata. It is important to note that the photoreceptor cells are on the external side of sensory retina, not on the inner side. Then we go to embryology. The relationship of the retinal elements can be understood most readily by following the formation of the optic cup. A single layer optic vesicle invaginates to form, as you are seeing, double layered optic cup. Retinal pigment epithelium, which is outside, develops, which is on the inner side, develops from outer layer of the cup, facing photoreceptors across the narrow obliterated cavity of the optic vesicle. The neurons of sensory retina differentiate from the inner layer of optic nerve, that is bipolar, ganglion and photoreceptor cells all develop from the inner layer. Vitreous body. It is a network of collagen fibers with the interspaces filled with polymerized hyaluronic molecules which are capable of holding large quantities of water. Vitreous does not normally flow but is percolated slowly by small amounts of aqueous. There is liquefaction of the jelly with age, with bits breaking off to form floaters. Lens. Lens is transparent. It is avascular. It depends on aqueous humor for nourishment. Lens continues to grow throughout life. New lens fibers are formed from outside, moving inwards towards the nucleus with age. The lens is comprised of 65% of water and 35% of protein. Water content of the lens decreases with age and the lens becomes less pliable. Lens is suspended from the ciliary body by ligaments called as zonule, which arise from the ciliary body and insert into lens capsule near the equator. Then we go on to study another competency, that is anatomical aspects of cataract, glaucoma and central retinal artery occlusion. First we'll start with the cataract. It is visual impairment as a result of disturbances of lens transparency. Sunlight. Cataract can result by prolonged exposure to sunlight. Unprotected lens is exposed to considerable amount of long wave ultraviolet light from sun. Increased amount of free amino acid levels as age advances. There is decrease in water content and soluble protein becomes insoluble and the concentration of calcium increases. There is progressive hardening of glands which can be seen after the age of 40. Increased free amino acid levels in senile cataract indicate accelerated proteolysis. Hardening the lens nucleus pallors with the decreased transparency. Then we go to glaucoma. Glaucoma is a neurodegenerative condition. It is associated with increased intraocular pressure. If left untreated, patients may gradually experience visual field loss and even lose their sight completely. There are different types, but two are major types: open angle glaucoma and angle closed glaucoma. Open angle glaucoma. It accounts for at least 90% of all glaucoma cases. It is caused by slow clogging of drainage canals, resulting in increased intraocular pressure. There is wide open angle between iris and cornea, as you can see in the picture. It involves symptoms and damage that are not readily noticed. Then closed angle. It is less common form of glaucoma. It develops very quickly. There is a closed or narrow angle between iris and cornea, so that you can see in the picture where the angle is closed, and comparison also given with open angle and closed angle. It involves symptoms and damage that are very noticeable. Aqueous humor is secreted by ciliary body, and the drainage of the humor takes place via two independent pathways, namely the trabecular meshwork as shown in the picture, and also uveoscleral outflow pathway that is also shown in the picture. The filtration is dependent on pressure gradients. The pressure gradient allows for movement of the humor, aqueous humor, from the pool of ciliary ultrafiltrate into posterior chamber, thereby forming aqueous humor. Then central retinal artery occlusion. It is an ophthalmic emergency because of instant massive visual loss. In brief, it is called as CREAO, that is central retinal artery occlusion, has been considered as one disease, but a study showed that in fact it consists of 4 distinct clinical types. Non-arteritic. This has classical clinical picture of permanent central retinal artery occlusion with retinal infarction. Then non-arteritic central retinal artery occlusion with cilio-retinal artery sparing. This has classical clinical picture of permanent, that is central retinal artery occlusion, except for the presence of patent cilio-retinal artery, which can have a marked influence on the visual outcome and retinal circulation. Then third type is transient non-arteritic central retinal artery occlusion. In this, occlusion of the central retinal artery may vary from several minutes to many hours, depending upon the cause of occlusion. The visual outcome in this type of central retinal artery occlusion can be totally different from any other types. It depends upon the duration of the transient central retinal artery occlusion. Then there is another type, that is fourth, arteritic central retinal artery occlusion. In this condition, giant cell arteriitis is the cause of development of permanent central retinal artery occlusion. Anatomical basis for this: classical non-arteritic central retinal artery occlusion is the most common due to permanent occlusion of central retinal artery. It is caused by impacted embolus at the narrowest part of the central retinal artery, where it enters the sheath of the optic nerve. Emboli originate from the plaques in the carotid artery or from heart rarely. Transient central retinal artery occlusion is most often caused by migrating embolus and sometimes by a transient marked fall of perfusion pressure in the central retinal artery or high raise intraocular pressure. Arteritic central retinal artery occlusion is due to thrombosis of the common trunk of posterior ciliary artery and central retinal artery arising from ophthalmic artery caused by giant cell arteriitis.